Welcome to the Origin of the Maker podcast. I am Will, your host, and today we have Dr. Sci-fi. Mr. Darren, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. It's a sci-fi-tastic day. There's always some good sci-fi going on. And while I do enjoy all sorts of science fiction, I feel we're going to be talking a little bit more about Star Wars. Just a hunch.
I'm cool with that. I finally got around to watching the new Star Wars, and I kind of stayed away from some of the spoilers. Some I wasn't able to, but I'm not the type of person that gets all mad when somebody gives me spoilers. Like, okay, I just got to go experience that now. But you are a Twitch streamer, you are a podcaster, and you have done a lot of Star Wars stuff that I've seen. Why Star Wars?
Well, Star Wars is my second sci-fi love. My first was definitely Star Trek. That was what I really loved growing up. I mean, I had the Star Trek birthday parties. I mean, I was the friend that my idea was was bringing my friends over, having rebuilt the Enterprise bridge in my living room, and basically playing through a script I had written. And my friends put up with it, so they were really good friends. But
That's
but throughout
fantastic.
all of Star Trek, Star Wars though is really great on the characters and the costumes, and so it's much easier to I feel to find things to build, and I really haven't been doing that much in costuming until only recently, but that was the main, I think, the reason for Star Wars. It just kind of started with a stormtrooper armor, and then you can never just have one, so you just kind of keep going.
Oh, of course. I can only imagine how many people you must be angry right now, being both the Star Wars and a Star Trek fan, and equaling it out.
Well, I think there's definitely a lot of room for all-star franchises, Stargate, Battlestar Galactica,
Yeah,
but
I never.
there's no animosity here.
No, I never really watched Battlestar Galactica. I couldn't get into it, but Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate HD1, it's all good. That was a. I used to watch the hell out of Star Trek: The Next Generation when I was younger, and it would always be on late at night, like on Fox or something,
Oh yeah.
whatever network that was back in the day. And I loved that show. It was great, and
Yeah,
especially
Star Trek: The Next Generation is definitely my favorite of the Star Trek series.
yeah, I like Deep Space Nine a little bit more than Next Generation, but Next Generation is pretty good.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine is really well written. I watched a season one episode the other night, Babel, one of my personal favorites, where they get the aphasia virus and they start to like say gibberish and their brain kind of gets rewired. It was so creative and so well done.
Yeah, they're always it's always been good writing for those shows. But you're like I said, you're a Twitch streamer, you're a podcaster. What do you do on your Twitch streams?
Well, my Twitch streams have really just been gearing up as of late. I recently moved into our first home and gained a garage. I've built many a thing on a living room floor, and so everyone in this family is very happy that I now have a space out in the garage. So I've been streaming, working on my workshop corner, streaming, building things, be it a prop or a costume piece or I have a wish list of things I'd like to build this year in 2018, but that's mostly what I've been streaming. So I try to stream. One of the tricky parts is that I am in California, so I'm on Pacific time. So when I stream in the evenings, most of the world's asleep. But
Yeah.
you never know, and and you just you do it when you can. But those are the kind of things I like streaming. Projects I'm working on. Hopefully not too much sanding of Bondo, but more interesting things to work on. I was
Oh,
repairing my old Armatron robotic arm the other day, and that got some love. So it's been fun, but I'm still finding the balance of content and when to stream and what to show and what people enjoy. So it's
yeah,
been interesting.
yeah. I was excuse me. I was streaming on Twitch there for a little while and I'm having to stop. I always found it good. Just I always like I tried to. I would try to stream like two, maybe three times a week if I was able to, at least two if all possible. And I would always, one day would be one project, and the next day would be another project, and I would switch back and forth. Or some days I'm just like, well, hey, let's throw me some ideas or something. But
Yeah, no, that's a good way to do it. I think the biggest thing with streaming is always consistency. As far as if you're going to stream Monday nights, you got to be on Monday nights because it's not like video on demand. I mean, you can have that component, but it's
yeah,
basically like people have to tune in. So if they know when you're going to be on and they want to hear and they want to see you, then they'll, find the time and log in at that moment. So it's scheduling is super important, especially in live environments.
yeah. Well, there's one thing you can do if you do have the time is a maker that I follow, Builder Ran from Punish Props. He actually takes his video from his Twitch streams and edit it down and makes it into a video on his YouTube channel, which
Yeah, we
is
definitely Bill is definitely one of those gold standard peoples where he's leading the charge both in props, YouTube videos, and streaming. So
yeah,
yeah, definitely Punish Props. It's a must subscribe definitely if you're
yeah,
interested into these things.
yeah. Those Bill and his wife Brittany are pretty cool people. They're fun to watch and always get a good laugh or two here and there.
Oh yeah, they have a good sense of humor. Yeah, when I was starting on some of my more recent projects, I was moving into the world of foam. Previously, I'd done things with like cardboard or other materials that usually didn't last as long, but I wanted this to last a long time. And so one of the first things I did was buy Bill Duran's, foam smithing book because it's it's good reading, especially if you're like, oh, what kind of knives do I want to use, or what kind of adhesive should I use? And
You mean
it's
these books right
been
here?
exactly those books right there. I got the digital copies, but they are very valuable and they're great starting points.
Yeah, I needed a hard copy because I wouldn't want a chance actually deleting a digital copy.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah. If they're definitely useful when it comes to foam, and I've been building more stuff out of foam. But you were saying, try not to sand too much with Bondo. My shop right now is covered in Bondo dust, like covered.
Yeah, Bondo. I've a little experience with it, but it's definitely not pleasant. I don't think it ever will be, but it's
Oh
just kind
no.
of the necessary evil of the medium.
Yeah, especially if you're using Pepicura,
Yeah.
because I use a lot of Pepicure when I was starting out. Then I got more into foam because it was a lot less messy.
Yeah, I was doing it over a 3D printed piece to smooth it out and got a little overzealous, but it all worked out.
Well, nowadays they got stuff like XT3 or XT3 XTC 3D.
Right.
Words are hard, especially this late in the night. That stuff is like an epoxy resin you put over your 3D print, and you can sand that down. It's supposed to be way better, but I really wouldn't know because I don't have a 3D printer yet.
Yeah, I don't have one either. I have friends with 3D printers, and I find it's easier just to give them the file, send them the filament, and wait.
Yeah. I got several STL files of props that I want to get 3D printed and make my own. I just don't have any friends with 3D printers.
Yeah, well, it's definitely I'd like to get one of these days, but it's definitely a lot of work and maintenance and time and calibration, and I just don't have those aspects of my life just yet. But one
Yeah,
day.
yeah, one day. Yeah, definitely one day for me. I will definitely have one.
Well, and
I'm
every year it seems like they're improving them, so it's not
yeah.
the worst thing to hold off just a little bit.
No, but it's been long enough that there's several good ones out there that you're not gonna have to do a whole lot of work to.
That's true. But it's
Especially,
definitely a you get what you pay for kind of product.
yeah, and there are some really good ones for decent money for like $200-300 that are really decent and have some good settings depending on which slicer program you're using. But especially here soon, I'm going to be moving into another house, hopefully with a garage so I can have a new shop. And that will definitely be one of my purchases after I get a new house is getting a 3D printer to have
Oh,
in the
definitely.
house, to print in the house, then take to the shop and finish up. And he said you just recently got your new shop, and from what I can see, it looks pretty good. You got a little robot head over there with a bandana on, and some posters and
Yeah, it's
some
K2's
bins.
K2's head over there. He's chilling out here. I'll give you another view. Let's see. Where's the which one's that one? Let's try this. There we go.
Hey, how
So
about that?
yeah, I have a couple different cameras set up. Again, trying to Twitch stream more. So this is my high camera, which shows just kind of the whole work corner. I did a French cleat system
Yeah,
because I like being able to rearrange things and move things around. So right now they're just covered with sound dampening acoustic panels, not
yeah,
soundproofing, but enough to keep some of the echo down.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah, that's definitely something I want to do is have more cameras set up. Because right now, when I was streaming, I had my face cam, then I had my workbench cam, and
yeah.
that was about it. And given
Yeah,
my
I have the three right now. I have my second one is the workbench cam, which right now just shows my cutting mat. But
yeah, mine
it's
was the
it's
same.
again, I'm a baby streamer, just getting into it now.
Yeah,
But there's a lot to it's a lot of fun.
it is, and especially if you get a good dedicated group of people who want to come and hang out. And
Yeah,
I had that. I had a few dedicated people who would always show up, and it was awesome. But when I get my new shop and I get everything back in order, get a shop that I can make my own, and at some point I'll get back to streaming and I'll have multiple cameras, which will be fine.
yeah. Well, I was working on K2SO because pretty much he was built between the hours of 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. because that's really all the time I had. So
Yeah,
very often when I was working on a piece or whatever, I would have someone on Twitch up just to watch, just to have that kind of communal workspace community as someone else is sanding or drawing or doing something, and it was fun. It's just something to it's you can passively watch while you're actually actively doing something, but it's a really good time.
yeah, especially if you got it like in a shop space where you're working, it's a lot better than a living room floor.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, especially from from a cardboard RoboCop to a K2SO puppet. That's a pretty big step up there.
Just I mean, the gap between those is what is that? About 16 years difference, but yes.
You had some room for improvement. You got to get a little space there. You got cardboard to puppet.
Yeah, the RoboCop you're mentioning, I posted on my Instagram, and that was one of the first costumes I made. We had an '80s party at my high school, and we could come either in '80s clothes, which I hate, or an '80s character or someone from the '80s. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, well, that's it. So I basically he was made out of mostly cardboard on like the torso and arms that was covered in metal plumber's tape, and then the legs were like that windshield reflector that you put in to keep your window from getting too hot in your car.
yeah.
So it was wrapped with those, and then he had PVC pistons on the back of his ankles, and the head visor built over a plastic baseball helmet. But I didn't tell any of my classmates or my teachers that I was coming as that. So literally, day of, I
That's
think
great.
I was wearing part of the pants
Yeah,
because I had to drive there, but then I like basically assembled myself and just walked into school. That took a little bit of confidence, but it was a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah. Well, RoboCop can't really go wrong.
I think I got three main questions that day on repeat. Is it hot? And I'm like, yes. The only skin you can see is my chin. Uh, can you see? Yes. I'm walking around and not running into things. And where's your gun? Which I would say in my leg. And then they would ask the fourth question, can I see it? And I'd say no.
It doesn't pop out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about revisiting that, doing a RoboCop?
I've seen people who've actually like cast the pieces and have like the fiberglass pieces, and I just don't know if I have the build to do a really good RoboCop. Like he's big, he's a
Yeah,
really big character, so I don't know. I think maybe one day, but right now there's other things kind of on my short list, as opposed to revisiting that one. But that's a good question though.
yeah. I excuse me. I was going through some of my papers and I found my build list. I was like, oh crap, I forgot about this. It's like 30 things long. Then like the next page is like those 30 things long broken up into what they're I want to make them out of, or like foam or MDF, or make them out of like fiberglass and resin, or 3D print them up and like or just fabricate. Or someone's like, oh Jesus, I'm gonna have so much stuff to do. I need to start small again.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I mean, yeah, I have a workspace now and a garage, and it's great. But if I had waited until I had that before I started building, I mean, I would have missed out on a lot of the things that I've created over the last few years. Because I mean, if you have an understanding enough, partner, you can, I think the rule was as long as I cleaned up after myself and restored order to the living room. But I those are the spaces I built, my mouse droid or my gonk. And, I'm glad that I didn't wait till that perfect moment when everything is ready. It's because that's never going to come. You just got to kind of start small if that's what it takes, or go big if you can.
Yeah. Yeah, go big or go home. That's what most people say.
Or go big in your home, because that's where you're building.
Yeah, no, like I said, like my shop, I've got it set up because I used to do a whole bunch of different stuff because I probably mentioned this before on the podcast, but I'm a goldsmith. I work on and repair jewelry every day, and I have a workbench here at my house to do that if I wanted to. But also I used to repair guitars, so I got a guitar repair bench right next to that, which was my main bench when I was streaming. And I got a ton of tables on the side that have my power tools and stuff, and just my little confined half a garage space to to do work in, and that's covered in Bondo, and which is still a mess. Yeah. But like I said, once I move and I get a dedicated shop space, I'll be able to have more of a space to work in, which will be fantastic.
Oh yeah, that'll be nice. That'll be nice.
But trying to kind of crappily segue into the next thing.
Well, you mentioned, streaming, and you were listing a bunch of things that I do. Let's talk podcasting for a moment, because this is a podcast. I've actually been podcasting, oh gosh, many years. I think maybe 5 years at this point. I did a long form podcast for, like 150 some odd episodes called Earl Grey. And that was a Star Trek The Next Generation podcast on the Trek FM network. And that was, you'd think you can do 150 episodes about a show that's been off the air for 30 years. And yes, you can.
There's a lot there's a lot of episodes you can go through. A lot of theories and a lot of explanation. Or how does a transporter work? Do you die and just get copied, or are you actually getting transported? It's like, my God. Try to wrap your brain around that.
And that was fun because I had two co-hosts, Philip and Daniel, and that was really interesting because we had we had different enough views on Star Trek that it was interesting, and we would rotate who would come up with a topic each week. And so now the three of us, we kind of revamped our show, and we have a new show. Well, I say new, but it's like we're on like 62, episode 62, and that's called City Alpha 3 on the Nerd Party. And that's just a general Star Trek show, which has been a lot of fun because before we confined ourselves just to the Next Generation, but now we can talk about anything in Star Trek. And so now we've been reviewing the Star Trek Discovery episodes each week as they air, but there's still plenty of other weeks left in the year to talk about Star Trek. I mean, it's Star Trek. There's so much you can talk about, and that's been really fun, mostly just because I get some friends that I can talk about one of the shows I like every week.
Yeah.
And that's really enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely. Even whatever it is, you got like just hanging out with a bunch of friends talking about random shit you guys like. It's enjoyable, especially if you're recording it from other people to listen to. Some people might be like, I just want to listen to these nerds talk for an hour about something, Even, But, it was like, I don't know why this popped into my head, but I remember it was an episode of Star Trek Next Generation where they went somehow or another, they went back in time, and it was when the Federation first made contact with the Klingons, and I think it was William Riker made a comment about how the Klingons didn't look the same as they did in Next Generation, and Worf, the Klingon, said something that there was like a mutation or something happened where like their physiology changed.
Yeah, I
Those,
think you're thinking of the DS9 episode Trouble and Tribulations, where they actually go back to the exact same incident of Trouble with Tribbles. Because Worf's there at that point because he had gone over to DS9. And so, yeah, I remember that scene where they're looking at the Klingons and they're like, those are Klingons? And they like kind of hush in on Worf and they're like, was there some sort of mutation? Like a disaster? And basically the only response he gives is, we don't speak of it with outsiders, and that's all he'll say. So yeah, that's a great scene
yeah.
from that episode.
Yeah, that was a very vague description that I gave, but you caught on
Oh,
pretty
I
spot on.
knew. I'm like, give it to me. That's half the fun. We would sometimes play a game called like Netflix description, because the Netflix descriptions on Star Trek episodes are notoriously bad. It's like someone watched the first 5 minutes of it and wrote the description on that,
uh,
which often the first 5 minutes of a Star Trek episode have nothing to do with what that episode's actually about.
not like they could have gone back and actually looked up what the episode was about, because I'm pretty sure there's a website with the description of every single
Oh, there's
episode.
websites on websites, but it's fun to play as a trivia game. And basically, it's like guess the episode based off of the Netflix description because it's really hard.
Yeah, I know one of my oddly enough one of my favorite characters in Star Trek Next Generation was Q,
Oh yeah,
the godlike celestial being that always fucked with the captain of the Enterprise, which was the episodes that every time it came in was great. And I think one of my favorite episodes that I can strongly remember is where Captain Picard relived the life of this one person from an alien race from like start to finish. Then it ended the episode with him finding the flute that he had
yeah,
basically
the Inner
played.
Light.
Yeah, that episode.
Yeah, that's most fans rank that if not the number one episode in the top five. It's a very very popular episode and really well acted. I mean, Patrick Stewart really carries that episode because it's pretty much just him.
Yeah, well, he's an amazing actor, and he pretty well versed in what he's able to do, and not surprising that a one episode based solely on him is not going to
Yeah,
suck.
he can totally carry it. Exactly.
Excuse me, I don't know why I'm coughing. So you've done several different podcasts, and I saw on your website you've been guests on several different podcasts, and you said like Goodnight Moon is on a hiatus, and City Alpha 3 is still going on, but you like I said, the Earl Grey is over, and then you had the Dr. Sci-Fi show, which is currently over too.
Yeah, the Dr. Sci-Fi show was just kind of a generic show, just every week. It was sometimes I had a guest, sometimes it was just me. I was kind of just trying to find the right thing to talk about, and it sort of worked. It was just kind of I like theming, and so
Yeah,
I mean Earl Grey was very easy because it was just about Next Generation, and having the limitation actually made it easier to come up with something every week
yeah,
as opposed to okay, I want to talk about sci-fi, but sci-fi is so vast and large, and so that made the Dr. Sci-Fi show a little more difficult. And then like you said, Goodnight Moon is still in production. It's that's a show I do with my daughter, and so at the time she was 4, and basically as we would go to bed I would just pull out my iPhone and we'd record us talking about space and science and things like that. And it's heavily polished and produced with some background music and other things, and they're very short. They're under 10 minutes each, but just it was a fun thing that I want to pick up doing more with her. But again, as my co-host, she kind of has more of the say over how often we record that one.
yeah.
But I've heard it remarked as adorable, and it is. It's very adorable.
I'll have to go check it out. And is I've got a son. He's 2, and he's
Yeah, I see some of the play equipment in the background. I'm like, that's either for your cat or a small child.
a small child. My cat sleeps on my amp, which is just to my left, out of view. But I was I was thinking like because he's almost to the point where he's talking and he goes to bed pretty well. It's just when I get to the point where he's getting a little bit older, needs bedtime stories. I always thought about what I should I just wing stuff or just find some little short stories to tell him. And I was probably just thinking I'm probably just gonna wing it, see what
Oh
happens.
yeah, I think the big thing is just reading and talking to them. The more you talk and the more you read, the faster they talk and the faster they read.
Yeah,
It's pretty simple. It just takes the time.
yeah. He's
But
pretty.
that's awesome though.
He's stubborn like me, so I know he can say words. He just doesn't want to.
Well, I have a son as well, and he's around 18 months right now. He's close to 2 actually. He'll be 2 in March, and he does talk, but he also uh, we could tell he's much more focused on tactile. Like he loves touching things and pulling
Yeah,
things apart and getting
yeah,
into
yeah,
things and very very focused. He gets his focus face on. So it's definitely different having 2 and kind of seeing the comparison between the 2, between my daughter and my son.
yeah.
So but yeah, but no, I can totally picture what a little boy choosing not to talk as much.
Yeah, he talks like as far as like he verbalizes his baby gibberish
Right.
oddly well.
You can tell what he's saying because
Yeah,
you could pick it up.
yeah. But he's getting better with words, and I've been when he's with me, I try to get him to say more things than when he's with his mom. I know he she tries to get him to say more words, and we got him in like an early development class to help him with his verbalization and interaction and stuff, which is helping, which is cool.
That's good.
But I'll have to go check out Good Night Moon because it's little story time episodes for kids. You always give a parent or newer parent, I should say, more ideas on how they can interact with their kids when it comes to getting them to go to bed.
Yeah, and I like I said, I do edit them down. We pretty much usually will record like 20 to 25 minutes, and then I'll edit that down into like a 6 to 10 minute usable episode. Taking out the long breaks and the
Yeah,
little tangents that are a little too
yeah,
tangential.
just
But yeah,
little
just let
man.
it go. Just see
Yeah,
how the story goes.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know why I'm coughing. Yeah,
It's all right.
I'm pretty inventive when it comes to coming up with stuff because I was always a creative kid when I was younger, and I don't know, like way back in the day, like I was in like grade school, middle school, in writing in like our English class, they always have us write short stories, and I was always come up with the weirdest shit to write down, like an island full of mythical creatures. This one dude stumbles upon, ends up in this giant magical war.
Hmm.
And then my teacher tells me, "Well, there's no real structure here. What's going on?" It's like, I don't know. I'm a kid. What do you expect? But
That's awesome though.
yeah. So it's gonna be more fun when he gets a little bit older. So you know, being the type of person I am with being creative and trying to be more like interactive when it comes to fueling a creative side to somebody. I think it's gonna be really fun when he gets older.
Oh yeah. No, we're trying to enjoy the time that he's in right now, but we know we're also looking forward to when he gets a bit older.
Yeah, I got a friend who has a kid who's I don't know how old he is, but he's at that he's at that stage where like, oh, I remember that. This is gonna be fun for you. So it's always it's just gonna be fun, parent life and stuff. But you know, I'll take it. Like I said, I'll take a listen to the podcast and see what I think. I'm cute little bedtime stories for kids. Being a parent, you're just like, oh, that was cute. You know
And it's
how?
very relaxing. So if
Yeah,
they're listening to it at bedtime, they won't have any trouble going to sleep. So
yeah. All right. Well, I noticed your your one main build that you've had going on for a while was your K2SO puppet.
yes.
That's like 7 foot tall, and you have to walk around with it with like a little screen on the back so you don't run into people. So what made you decide to do a K2 life size puppet?
Well, I was starting in the design phase for an IG-88. Actually, is what I was originally starting, because it just was an interesting looking droid. I'd already made like a mouse droid and a gonk droid, and I liked the bad guy droids, and was starting to figure out how to do him. And then K2SO came on the scene. We saw the first trailer. We saw some images in like some magazines, but we didn't even know what he fully looked like at that point.
Yeah,
And I thought, okay, I'm going to switch to this character because one of the hard things is, and people had done IG-88. I mean, I've seen sculptures and people who have made full size versions of him, and so it had been done before. And it's also very hard to get pictures of him. I mean, it's under a little under 30 years ago in a single scene in a single movie,
yeah,
whereas K2SO is we have toys and all these things that come out, and so I shifted my gears and just started my little project notebook and just started tinkering away in my head. And I'd say it took them pretty much a year to build, but probably at least 75% of that was just R&D and figuring out all the problems. And that
yeah,
was what the most fun was, is just solving every little issue. Because I had a long list of what I wanted him to do. I wanted him to be able to walk. I wanted him to be able to talk, so have like a voice system, move his hands, move his arms, and be as puppetable and personable as possible. Ooh, that's a lot of iteration. But so yeah, starting with that, I pretty much started first on his hands and arms because that was going to be the most complex mechanism in figuring out how to do that. And then, you know, basically started him as a PVC skeleton from a kit that you can buy for like a mannequin, like for Halloween. You could drape clothes over in
yeah,
your front yard. So it had all the joint pieces, and it's basically just 1 inch PVC pipe that makes up his skeleton, and then his whole exterior is covered in EVA foam, a mixture of 4 millimeter to 8 millimeter foam in different parts. And so this was the first time, like I said, using foam. So, getting Bill Durant's book, watching a lot of things on YouTube, and, just trying experiments. Often I'd cut out little pieces in certain ways to test like how pieces would join together. And like I said, it was just really fun coming up with all these little solutions, from designing the harness that would carry his weight to I use dive fins for his feet connections because
yeah,
it's a natural connection for your foot. It's designed to hold your foot. It's flexible, and there's not like a seam like gluing a shoe to
to something.
something where it could come off
Yeah,
and disconnect.
yeah, because
Uh,
you did an interview with Norman Chan from Tested when you're
yes.
in your early stages of your build, and I went back and rewatched that. I saw that a long time ago when they had posted it. It was sometime last year, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, that
Yeah, it was sometime last
the
year.
RP that was at the RPF party here in
Yeah,
Southern California.
yeah, it was at a
So,
Frank and Melito's shop, I believe. His or
yep, that was his old
his
shop. He just moved
his
into a new one.
yeah.
Yeah.
He just recently moved to another shop like a year before that, and then
Yeah, he's always moving. Yeah, that
yeah,
was in April of 2017.
yeah.
So a
So
little under a year ago.
yeah, I'm jealous of Frank and Melito right now in his new shop.
I haven't seen too many pictures of the new shop because I know he's been still putting it together, but I'm really hoping that they have this year's get together at his place.
Yeah,
They probably will. So,
yeah, yeah. I think he posted some pictures on Instagram, either through his through Thangery Instagram or his one of his personal Instagrams. But I
right.
was like, man, that's pretty. It's like I think it's like all red brick and stuff, and it's got a cement floor.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
I've
that,
seen those pictures before he'd moved in, but like the exterior, and it
yeah,
looked really nice. Yeah, and that, the tested interview was definitely a big blessing because it really pushed my K2SO into that kind of public light. Like
yeah,
that's and since then it's just been a lot of fun just getting to just putting that out there. And what's really been fun in building K2SO though is through Instagram mostly, but through other means as well. I've found a lot of other builders who have been building K2SO, building him as a puppet or building him as a suit or a sculpture. And that's been really fun, just connecting with all of those people, because it's a very difficult and challenging build. So not everyone attempts it, and everyone does it in a slightly different way, and their builds look a little different. But that's been a really fun community that's only a year old. It's a very new community.
Yeah. Sorry, damn. Man, I am just coughing all over the place today. Right, I apologize. No, I've seen some different builds, and I follow a bunch of prop maker pages and cosplay pages on Facebook and Instagram, and I've seen a few different ones, and I've come across yours several different times. I was just, with these new Star Wars movies coming out, it seems almost instantly somebody's making something from it.
Oh
And
yeah.
with your K2, and I was when I was scrolling through your Instagram earlier today, it looks like he's completed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been completed since last May is when he was finished and had his first event. But like anything, I'm still working on him. I still have some parts that I want to change and upgrade. I'm always trying to make him easier to puppet. And so right now I'm redesigning his hands to be, instead of PVC, right now they're like a tendon, but I'm going to shift to laser cut MDF, which is like a linkage.
Yeah.
And I actually have the little prototype here. So this is
Oh.
it's really loose, but basically it'll remain straight, but then as you pull the linkage,
Yeah.
it's great because you're moving the linkage an inch, but the whole finger curls.
That's awesome.
So this is the prototype to just kind of dial that in. The tricky part will be making all 10 fingers, but they're all slightly different lengths because I don't want them to be like box hand.
Yeah.
So that'll go. I'm doing a lot with his lower arm because that's the heaviest piece.
Yeah.
Because there's all the hardware inside of it and the wood that connect the puppeting sections.
Well, because I know you're going to use MDF, which is a medium density fiberboard, but you can get LDF, which is a light density fiberboard that may be lighter, and that could be possibly a better option and less toxic because it doesn't have formaldehyde in it like MDF does.
That's true, and maybe I'll end up laser cutting both, and then comparing their weight.
Yeah.
I think you're always fighting that weight versus strength battle to see what works best.
Yeah, I had my foray or my introduction into working with MDF when I did a project, odd enough, for Bill Duran's page for his 100,000 subscriber video. It was the
cool.
It was the Captain Malcolm Reynolds pistol from Firefly. He made templates, released them, and a bunch of people made them up and made like a little video and posted too. And he made a video of all the people who made little 10-second videos, and I was one on there. I'll grab that really fast. Hold on. It's pretty cool.
Of course.
Getting up from your podcast, a thing you should not do. But this is on my Instagram and on my Facebook, and it's all MDF. I carved some wood handles. I had some mahogany from a guitar project, and then I carved all the handles out of. And everything else on it is MDF, besides some like plastics and plexiglass that I heat formed for the sides, and I kind of build up the little side pieces right here. And it's got a removable mag with the
oh, that's cool. Magnets.
Yeah.
I love magnets.
Yeah. They're gonna be the bane of my existence here real soon, but it's pretty fun. And comparatively, because taking something like this, which is a toy that I modified to turn into that gun from Fallout New Vegas, to scratch building something from MDF, and it's like they weigh about the same, but one was more enjoyable than the other.
No, yeah. So right now, redoing the hands, and I'm changing where I connect to his hand. But I also want to be putting some servos into his neck to really puppet that around a lot. So that's in my K2.0 upgrades that I've been working on. And while I've been working on that, it's been fun just again finding other builders who are working on theirs, and like I said, making my list of I want to try to do some other foam projects this year. Two on my short list are I want to make a studio scale Thunderbird 2 from the classic Thunderbirds series. And so that's probably going to be 30 to 36 inches long and make it completely out of EVA foam, partially as a challenge and something, something fun to build and mount on the wall.
Yeah.
But I also want to make an N1 rocket, which was the Russians' versions of the Saturn V.
Yeah.
So I have the Lego Saturn V that they came out with, and so I'm going to make my N1 at the same scale, so I can put them next to each other.
Nice.
And kind of see that. So again, they're all just for fun and to continue practicing, because that's really how you get better, is just keep building, and you'll eventually make something better.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of phone work, and just the other day I ordered some foam from TNT Cosplay Supply.
Yep, that's where I got mine.
Yeah, as I got a commission coming up for a friend, and I got some projects that I want to do out of some really nice foam, so not crappy floor mat foam from Harbor Freight.
Yeah, TNT is great because you get it in I think it's like a 2 foot by 5 foot piece, and they have all sorts of different thicknesses from 2 millimeter to 10 millimeter, but it's smooth on both sides. So it's really nice foam.
Yeah, and it has a really nice density to it, so it's not super soft. I ordered 10 millimeter, 6 millimeter, and 2 millimeter rolls the other day, and I'm just waiting for that stuff to come in so I can start cutting and gluing.
Yeah, I got in my stack over there, I have a 2 millimeter, 3 4 millimeters, and 1 6 millimeter. I'm trying to go for thinner. I feel, because again, it was my first time using foam, so a lot of K2 is built with 8 millimeter or 6 millimeter, which is actually probably way thicker than you actually need. So I think I'm trying to, especially when weight is a big factor. So
well, when it comes to with foam though, anything if you get below 6 millimeter foam, it is relatively, it is actually really thin if you think about it.
That's true,
because you want to be able to make sure that when you heat form it, it keeps its shape and it doesn't bend too easily. So that's why a lot of people use the thicker, like the 10 millimeter foam, because that's the thickness of a format, regular format, and that stuff will hold its shape forever unless you drop something on it and you don't pick it up and just let it smush it. Because a lot of my helmet builds, right now, the one made a recent one from last year is I did the Mechanist helmet from Fallout 4.
Oh yeah,
I made that out of 10 millimeter format foam and 5 millimeter craft foam and 2 millimeter craft foam. I'm going to remake it because I made patterns off that helmet for some nice TNT foam that I got to find in my shop, transfer to some card paper, and make a new Mechanist helmet. But
I want to try some other techniques also with templating, because I actually have a little mini projector, like the kind you get at Brookstones or something.
Yeah.
And so I want to try experimenting with mounting that above my workspace and projecting the template onto the foam. I might have to compensate a little bit for lensing, but I want to see if that could be an easier way than printing it out, cutting it out, tracing it out, when instead I just project it right on, copy the trace there, and then go with it. So it's a possibility, but
well, you're definitely gonna have to let me know how that turns out, because I have never in my life thought that would have been an option. I was like, oh, I got 20 pieces of paper I need to cut out. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. And, well, shit, now I have to trace that all over some foam. Well, okay, that's not.
I'll send you a link to this site. It's one of the sites I found when I was working on K2. It's basically a how to describe it. I guess you could call it a cone maker, but it does way more than that. But basically, you enter values and it spits out a template to what you want. So like when I was doing his forearm is 15 inches long, 4 inches diameter at the elbow, and 3 inches diameter at the wrist. So it's basically a very long cone.
Yeah.
And so you punch in those values into this program, and it basically spits out a PDF with markings on it uncurled, and you just cut it right out, and that's how I made that. But it's great because you could enter all these values. You could make a cylinder, a sphere, a pie slice, a cube, all of these different shapes. All you have to do is give it and you could do it in millimeters or inches. It was a really cool website that when I found it, I praised it because it was just like, this is so handy.
That's awesome. Yeah. You'll definitely have to send me that link because I'll take that and I'll post it into a couple groups I'm a part of who do foam builds. And although there's another person you should look into if you have not already, if you know who Build a Rant is, I'd be surprised if you didn't know who Evil Ted is.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
met Evil Ted at that the RPF meeting.
Okay.
But he's one of those Twitch streamers I follow. Really nice guy, really nice
Yeah.
guy. Good, does a lot of good stuff for the community. He's very giving and complimentary. So
Yeah, I'm recording an episode with him next month.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah, Ted's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
The night
The evil in his name is all show. He's not. He's super nice.
He's got a backstory to Evil Ted. If I think he told the story in the Craft and Geek podcast with Core Geek and Jackie Craft. And if you haven't
I think he did. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I listened to Craft and Geek, and then Causing a Problem are the two other costume related podcasts I listened to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with Ted. I've got a good list of people that I've got coming on. I have a list of people I want to come on as guests, and I've got some booked to actually come on. I got Steven from SKS Props coming on Sunday.
Oh, great!
And we're gonna talk about his stuff and Ted on the next month and go from there. I have a guy coming on who builds guitars, who's an international musician. Awesome dude. I met him before here in Indy, and I'm just he's a cool dude. I'm waiting for him to come on and talk about all stuff guitars because I used to run a guitar store. I used to run guitar repair out of the guitar store for the longest time. It was like I can dump my knowledge that I know on somebody else now.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So usually what happens in podcasts so far is we talk about stuff and it randomly evolves to whatever happens, and I've yet to find a way to segue from random chat into what made you want to become a maker. So hey Darren, how did you become a maker?
Well, I'd say that one of the things that I'd say I'd always wanted to be a maker. Even since I was little, I was always enjoying putting things together. Legos and
Legos,
Constructs.
Connects.
I don't know if you ever had Constructs. It was kind of like Connects, but it was you could basically build big things really easily.
Yes.
And I would, whereas Lego, you would need like a metric ton in order to accomplish that.
Yeah, I still got all my Legos.
But I always enjoyed, doing things like that. And then, it's just nowadays with the internet, it's so easy to find like materials and other people who are making things. Like, fortunately, there's this whole group in society now where everyone likes giving away their stuff. Hey, sweetie.
It looks like you got your co-host popping up there.
You want to come say hi? What are you doing out of bed? You tired? Yeah. We're just talking about K2SO and making. Do you like to make things? Yeah.
Yeah, being shy. Yeah.
Okay. Can you go back to bed, sweetie? Or did you need something? What?
Let me brush my teeth.
Okay. Well, you want me to give you another tortilla?
Okay.
I'll give you a tortilla and then I'll come right back. But I want you to go to bed, okay?
Okay.
Right, just a second.
No worries. Yeah. Derailed by small child. It's all good. Well, hopefully you guys are enjoying the episode so far. It's turning out to be a pretty good one. Always great having good conversations. So while Dr. Sci-fi is away, I'm going to tell you guys about my Teespring store for a second. I have some apparel available on my Teespring store. I have shirts, tank tops, hoodies, kids shirts from 2T to 4T, and uh, kids the next size up 5 to whatever. I don't really know what that is. I should know because I'm a parent. But I also have baby onesies. If you want to put your small infant child in a DLC props onesie, you go right ahead. I do not make money off of these things. I more or less put these out there for you guys to enjoy. The only thing that I make money off of is the men's and women's t-shirts. And all that is going to do is going to go back into the production of my stuff. I will use it for my projects. So if you guys feel a need or would like to order a shirt, go to my Teespring store. There will be a link down in the description of the show notes. And hopefully you guys order some. And if you do order one, um, definitely send me a message on Instagram with a selfie and you will get your own personal shout out.
Now, I need to order a shirt then because that's one of the cool things I like about people who stream is you see them wearing like different shirts and different people's
I'm wearing
shirts.
one
And
of my shirts right now.
yeah. And sometimes people wear their own shirts and sometimes people wear like Egg Sisters or Core Geek or something
Yeah.
like that. And so
Yeah,
I need to start building my closet.
So do I like this is actually one of my test shirts. I ordered 3 test shirts because why order one when I can have 3?
Yeah.
And like it's totally derailed the whole thing, but like I set up a Teespring store. I've got I got men and women's shirts available in all sizes. I only make like $5 off a shirt, and that goes back into DLC props as a whole. And granted, I've only sold 2 shirts right now, so it's not like I'm rolling in dough. But I got like long sleeve shirts. I got tank tops. I got hoodies. I got kids shirts from 2T to 4T, then 5T to regular kid sizes, and I like baby onesies, and I got a coffee mug for sale too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, to finish my answer before life happens, which it happens.
It is
it's
all
not
good, man. There's no real structure to this podcast. It is okay.
But
I saw your kid was like hovering behind the door frame back there for a second.
I heard the door and I'm like, someone's coming to say hello. But always enjoyed making. I always found like geometry was like one of my favorite subjects, and I always found that I could turn objects inside and out in my brain and kind of figure out like, oh, what did this look like from this side and how does this work together? And then I'm not like the greatest artist, but I always felt like I was able to sketch something out, at least like a rough plan. I have a saying, there's always a point in every project where scale matters. It may not be the first day, but you'll always hit a point where it's like, okay, now I need to actually put a ruler on this and start figuring out how big this is. But so just basically from just building and designing, it's just been a lot of fun now that, like I said, with the with the internet, with a lot of and the internet's partially for sharing, what you're doing, but a lot of it is just for seeing other people who share. And that's what's so great is, if you really want to get into foam or cosplay or anything like that, now at the amateur level, you can just absorb all of that for free, which is amazing.
Yeah, there are a ton of people out there doing this, and I am a small cog in what is the machine that is props and costumes and cosplay.
Right.
And I was streaming, and I'm kind of half-assedly having a YouTube channel where I'm trying to motivate myself to make videos. But it's just there's so much stuff out there you can just absorb. That's one of the main things. One of them, or should say, is one of the parts of my podcast is exposing people to more people and bringing on people who wouldn't normally get exposed to other people by coming on here, telling their story, and getting exposed to the people that they look up to. Because
Oh, exactly.
is I hate to bring this up, but my friend he geeks out pretty hardcore when it comes to certain makers, and we not necessarily made fun of him about it because it's funny to me because I'm his friend and I collaborate with him on projects a lot, and we're working on one of his projects right now. It just his reactions to certain makers, or when I'm telling him like, hey, I'm interviewing this person, he goes like, oh my god, and because he was a guest on the podcast, he was a co-host on episode 2 with Wolfgar Weapons and Props. No, I'm sorry, that was Corey. Episode 3 with Wolfgar Weapons and Props, and he was the guest in the next episode. And he he's the kind of dude who looks up to all these people, and then when I expose him to these people and they find out who he is, he geeks out super hardcore, and it's hilarious. But that's kind of the point. It's like I got this podcast where I can talk to these people that I wouldn't necessarily normally talk to, share it with my friends, and tell these makers, hey, I've got a friend who's a big fan of yours. And I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. I'm just some random dude, but that's great. And it's like, well, yeah, dude, you're doing all this cool stuff, and now I want to expose you to as many people as I can and expose my friends to what you do. And it's just like, hey, all the cool sharing stuff. And Freddie, if you're listening to this, which I'm pretty sure you will be, I am sorry.
No, and I mean, you have a really difficult format. I mean, not in a bad way, but in like an interview show. An interview show takes a ton of work because not only are you doing the actual show, but all of the scheduling and the technical details. So
yeah, we went through that earlier.
I've tried doing that an interview show before, and it is definitely much more difficult than something where you have guaranteed hosts or co-hosts.
Well, I blame Joe Rogan for that because I listen to his podcast a lot, and I like the way his podcast is focused on just general conversation with a ton of different people, and that's why more or less reason why I say the origin of the maker and not origin of the cosplayer or origin of the prop maker. I just making in general because that's one of the main things that I'm in right now is just making. So I'll probably say this but at the end, but I don't care what you make. You could quilt blankets, or you could be a blacksmith, or you can make food, or you can make video content, or you can I don't know, whatever. I don't really care. If you want to, I'll talk to you about it because chances are I'll know something about it and I'll want to know more, or like I have no idea what this is. I should probably know what this is, that kind of deal.
And that's one of the interesting things about the making community right now is that even if you make something completely different or a different medium or a different type or a different whatever, there's something about making and the act of creation and the act of all the work and the effort and the sweat and all the just the challenge of it. It creates this kind of instant kinship. Like, okay, if like I make a costume, but I see someone who makes like a beautiful wood table, like I appreciate that effort and that craftsmanship just as much, even though it has nothing to do with what I have personal experience.
I have no interest in building a table. I know how to do it, but that's going to take way too long. I could be doing something else, but I'm going to appreciate the dude who builds a table that looks fantastic, or the dude who builds the piece of furniture that turns into 5 other pieces of furniture. It's just like, oh, holy crap. It's just people who put their stuff out there for other people to appreciate, especially somebody like me who does appreciate all types of forms of making and things like that, just out there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So so you've been making, how long have you been making like straight like besides like your cardboard RoboCop way back in the day?
So one of the interesting things, yeah, so I'd say definitely, I'd probably say solidly the last 10 years. Before, I was doing costumes and stuff, the, because it's like you need an outlet. I remember in my youth when I'm like, I'm going to be an artist. And I sat down, I couldn't think of what to draw. So I'd literally follow people around being like, tell me what to draw. And that didn't go very far. But in the same way, with making, if you don't know what to build or you don't have a purpose or a reason for it, it can be very difficult to start a project. And so one of the things that helped me because, making isn't my day job, it's in the other hours of your life. So for me, our church would have their annual Vacation Bible School or VBS, and very often it would be themed. And so I got involved with them in helping design and build like their sets or large props. And so that was something that came along once a year, and you had to build it to last a week. So it didn't have to last longer than that. You also learn about not being attached to things because at the end it gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun. I built like the back half, like literally, if you cut it in half, of like taxi cab out of cardboard. We filled it with food donations. I built a city skyline and did projection mapping on it to make it look like a moving billboard. And that built up to one of the largest things I ever made was a third scale Electra 10 airplane, which was Amelia Earhart's plane. And we were having like an aviation themed year, and so that was made out of not EVA foam, but like a dense white foam and cardboard and like unistrut beams. But that had to be very strong, because it was going to be hung in the ceiling of our worship center and like over actual people. So you had to figure out mounting points and rigging, and
so let's not kill anybody.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like the largest thing I probably ever made, and that was a really fun project.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So yeah, so I mean, I definitely began with like cardboard and things like that, but now foam has kind of supplanted that medium. But I just say just start with something. If all you have is paper, use paper. If all you have is boxes, use boxes. Like, I mean, if you don't have the money to buy, pre-cut pieces of double-sided smooth, just get the gym floor mats from, Walmart. Like,
or the yoga mats, or
the yoga mats, or I mean, just walk Home Depot. That's how I found half of K2SO's parts. I just walked the aisles and was like, oh look, this is now his eye. Like, because that's how you figure it out. So
because I've been you said with foam, that foam has been my medium for the longest time now, I should say. But like with to bring up my friend again, we're working on a collaborated project. He's doing a Kuma from Afro Samurai, the guy with the giant bear head, and you should check it out because it's fucking adorable. He finished the head, and it's a Maker Trash on Instagram. So if you go check it out, and his bear, he paper mache the sphere, then he covered it in fur, and he's got the eyes and the snout, but he added in, like you got in the back of K2, is a little screen so he could see a little video camera on top of the nose, so he could have his the guy he's doing the cosplay for be able to see out, and and it's
and that's the other great thing is technology is always advancing. I mean, you don't necessarily have to make eye holes nowadays, because if you have the ability, you can put a screen into it. So
because he was doing the that was his main part, because he's having somebody to do the kimono, and me and him actually built the katanas. And
nice.
They're on my Instagram. I would be remiss if I got up again during my show.
That's all right. All right.
But like I had some pre-cut plexiglass blades that I had plans to make a dark saber out of, kind of my own custom style dark saber, not the one from the Star Wars Rebel show. but I had those blades pre-cut already out. He's like, I need some katanas. I was like, well, that project's on a back burner, probably never be finished. So screw those things. I'll
Yeah.
get
No,
going.
I hear what you mean, and that's what's so cool is like every day I'm on Instagram or I'm on somewhere and I find like someone new to follow or someone who makes amazing Lego creations or someone who makes something out of cardboard, and it's so fun to see all of that.
Yeah,
Definitely for sure.
yeah. I got a he's we're getting it pretty close to done. I've got the blades done. The swords are completed, and I did a traditional Edo wrap on the handles, and
Hmm.
we and what led me into this new medium that I'm trying is Warbler. I've
Ah,
never
Warbler.
I've never used Warbler before, and I had to make the collar on the handle, which I'm going to probably explain this wrong because I know my stuff when it comes to swords and katanas, but like on the handle, which is the suka, there is a pommel, which I can't remember the name, and there's a collar on top
Right.
underneath the suba, which is the guard. And I made those out of warbler. I've never worked with warbler before, so I had to figure out how the hell I got to work with warbler. Which I figured it out, and it turned out fine. Then I've got to make the saya, which is the scabbard. I got to make two scabbards for both katanas and get those done. And basically his project will be done. And I got to do something I wouldn't normally do, which is cool.
Oh yeah, it's always fun when you come across something and you're like, "Oh, well, I've never made that before." But it's even better when it serves like a need or even if it satisfies that need for a week, it makes it all the more enjoyable
Yeah,
to produce.
and I've got this small plexiglass blade that I shaped up like before we even did that project, and I just dropped it. And I was going to do a traditional style tanto, which is like a basically like a Japanese short sword, I would say.
Right.
That I'm going to use what I learned from doing this collaborative project to finish this up. Now that I did that, and it's like, oh, I got completely different way of doing things now. That's going to be way easier than using real wood or something. But so you've got a we we covered your origin story, so we got that done.
My origin story like a comic book.
Yeah. One day, I decided to make stuff, and I
Lightning
never
struck
stopped.
and my mind was unleashed for the boundless possibilities of EVA foam.
And I never stopped. But I was going through your website, and you're mainly Star Wars. That's your main thing mostly, right? And you did some Imperial uniform officers, and you did some stormtroopers. Do you have any other cosplay builds that you want to come up with, or maybe coming up that you're going to try something else besides Star Wars, or more things from Star Wars?
Yeah, so my first one was the standard A New Hope stormtrooper, and then I added imperial officer, mostly just to have a face character that I could not have
Yeah,
to wear a helmet on. And
yeah,
then K2SO is kind of my third. You know, I I have a quick turnaround build I want to do, but I'd like to make something from the new Han Solo movie that's coming out in 4 months, and from some of the leaked Lego set images, it looks like there's this kind of barrel shaped droid with like a trapezoidal dome. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to just really make a really quick costume of that. But I can't quite go off of the Lego set because it's Lego. Like it can give me some detail, but like it's Lego, so there's a lot that is missing. So I'm hoping against hope that whenever this trailer drops, watch it'll drop tomorrow, but
right.
whenever this trailer drops, I'm hoping it has a shot of this figure, or maybe a toy can get released, because I kind of, as a personal challenge, want to see if I can turn this around in a matter of months in time for the premiere, just to have something. And I don't even know if it's like one of those droids that shows up in like one scene or one shot, but it looked like something I probably could make if I was quick enough on the draw. So,
Yeah, little
but not too
quick.
many. Yeah, but not too many costume-ish projects right now. Right now, I'm more focusing on kind of props and or just more like static builds like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, not too much costuming.
yeah. I haven't. I've only done a few costumes, like because I've mentioned this before. One of my main interests when it comes to like cosplay or building stuff props from is Fallout or Skyrim. Like I just cast up this Dragon Priest mask the other day
Nice.
for my friend, and I do a lot of Fallout stuff. Like I said, I got a Mechanist helmet I'm going to try to build a costume for, and I've got a Skyrim helmet that I'm going to try to build a costume for. And I've got some easy walk around costumes, but one of my main my main one of my main ones is my NCR Better Ranger costume with like full face helmet, trench
Okay.
coat, body armor, this and that. I've been updating over the years and working on my second version of the helmet, which is the reason why my shop's covered in Bondo dust right now. And I'm going to be leaning into using leather for the body armor instead of foam because one, it's not going to be so bulky. It's still going to be hot, but not as bulky. It will look nicer. And I've got a few friends who do leather working, and I know a leather worker on Twitch, Bjorn's Workshop, who does leather working. He's always good for helping out when I need help with leather stuff. But is there any other say uh, costume that you want to do that like say from like another franchise or not necessarily sci-fi but more like if like maybe like a fantasy or like a TV or movie something like that or another.
I think maybe if anything, maybe a character from like Star Trek Discovery could be interesting. Some of the newer sci-fi. We watch my wife and I. We don't watch too much television, like live television. Mostly it's like YouTube channels and Netflix and things like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, nothing's kind of jumped out and grabbed me. I am building an ID-10 droid, which is the little probe droid from Battlefront 2 that floats around with you.
Yeah.
So he'll be my new little companion buddy. I'm going to build him with lots of magnets so he can perch on K2's shoulder and kind of ride around like a parrot.
Nice.
Because why have one droid when you can have two?
Exactly.
But yeah, but again, I'm more kind of on the pieces, either a prop or a character or something like that. Definitely don't have too many costumes in my future. But if it strikes me though, it's nice to know to try something where it's like more sewing or it's more, or actually that would be an interesting costume that I've thought about doing is doing a Galen Erso from Rogue One when he is like research Galen Erso, where he's like at that facility and he's got like that hexagon patch on his shoulder, and so I think I'm like that would be an interesting character.
Yeah.
Or an interesting look, probably because I could also pull off kind of like the messy hair look a little bit,
Yeah.
and watch all my scientist friends get killed, But
And it'd all be your fault
it'd all be my fault,
or shame.
I'll just
Dr.
name my
Sci-fi.
daughter Stardust, and it'll all be okay.
Yeah. I've been throwing this around like it comes up then like I can get super into it then I don't do it. Building a lightsaber.
Mm,
Yeah. I want to build I want to build a Graflex 3-cell lightsaber.
the
Replicas.
classic.
Yeah, the classic. And build one from scratch, make it my own. And there's a ton of people on YouTube who build lightsabers, and I got a playlist on my personal YouTube channel where it has all my people that I watch of like 15 videos on making lightsabers. It's like, man, I need to get to that at some point because I want a lightsaber, goddammit, and I don't have one.
Yeah, I want to also at some. I guess I keep building droids. Like I like the bad guy droids because I have the mouse droid, I have K2SO, I have a Gonk droid that I styled like a Death Star Gonk droid, so it's like black and red. I have the ID-10 droid. I want to make a Dr. Ball, the interrogator droid.
Yeah.
So, and I would love one day to start at an R2D2.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother
Yeah.
level there.
James Burton from X Robots, he did a build on his YouTube channel, which is pretty in depth. It's mostly 3D printing, but it's something to check out if you actually get into it, because don't necessarily say it need to be 3D printed. You can build it out of MDF or LDF and cover it in foam or something, or
exactly.
Warbla or
maybe not Warbla,
plastic.
but I know what you mean.
Yeah. No, don't do it Warbla. That'd be expensive as hell. I was looking at prices the other day. I was like, oh my god, I'm probably never going to use this again. So, I noticed you've got some events that you do. Do you have any upcoming events that you'd like to share?
Yeah, actually, on my website, I actually have an events page for just such an occasion. And the next big place that I'll be taking K2SO is going to be WonderCon, which is kind of a mid-sized convention down here in Southern California. It's at the Anaheim Convention Center, and I'm just looking forward to bringing him out there. I was originally trying to get K2SO done for last year's WonderCon, but it did not quite happen.
Yeah, well, you got to make sure it gets done first.
Yeah, now that he's done, it's way easier to actually do that.
Yeah. That'd be definitely cool. I want to. My con plans for this year kind of shot. I may make it out to Gen Con here in Indy and Comic Con here in Indy, but if all possible, if I can work a miracle out of my ass, I'd like to make it down to Dragon Con this year.
I'd love to do Dragon Con one of these days.
At least once.
But that's a bit. One of these days, I think probably the next out-of-state one would probably be something like Rose City, like up in Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, Seattle.
But,
I think, right?
Portland.
No.
Yeah.
I think
Emerald City's in Seattle.
Yeah, that's right. It's up there in the Bigfoot country. But I got some there's a group of cosplayers up here who bust down the Dragon Con every year, and I think I'm gonna try to make it this year if I can. Gotta work around that parent life though. But so I think we pretty much covered everything, which is awesome.
Did. We covered a lot, and what's nice is with the joy of the the internet, we can keep talking, we can keep sharing.
Yeah,
it never has to end.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, this is a little shorter of a podcast than normal, but it's been a good conversation. And,
no, it's been really fun, and I was definitely interested to join you once I saw your angle and how you like talking just to people about what they make and sharing that. I think that's a great way to encourage other people.
Yeah, like I said, it's this basically my platform for this podcast is just if you make something and you want to come talk to me about it. I don't really care if you're a famous cosplayer maker or you're just some random dude to build stuff in his closet. I really don't care. If you want to come talk to me, I will talk to you about it. Because why not? Why not have a good random conversation with somebody about making that you can have a good, really, really good, great conversation with somebody like we just did and make new friends, or don't and not make friends. Why weigh the options, and talking to random people on the internet about projects and building stuff is way more fun than not.
Exactly.
And I get to talk to people that want to talk to you, like that I want to, which is cool, because I wouldn't normally be able to interact with makers of that caliber in a more personal setting, like on a podcast or in person, which is one of the reasons why I want to go to Dragon Con, is because all the makers that I follow all go to Dragon Con.
Oh yeah, no, that would be great. Yeah, that's the best thing about conventions is just the community you get to meet.
Yeah, Yeah, and I've got some of the people I got coming up. I've got on my list of people to bring in, go to Dragon Con. And it's one thing to talk to somebody over an interview through Skype or
Right.
Hangouts or whatever, but it's just sometimes better to meet that person in person and have a really decent conversation, rather it be 5 minutes or 3 hours or whatever, but still, just it's great.
Oh, exactly.
Well, I think I've stumbled over my words long enough because words are hard. Everybody, words are definitely hard.
Words are hard, so craft with foam instead.
Yeah. All right. So this has been episode 5 with Dr. Sci-Fi. If you are a maker, doesn't matter what you do, you could be a blacksmith, you could quilt blankets, you could make wind chimes, you can make shoes, you can make those little things that go in things that we need for everyday life. If you would like to come on and be a guest on the Origin of the Maker podcast, go to my Facebook page or at Origin of the Maker and send me a message like Dr. Sci-Fi did, and we will schedule out an episode and we will have a decent, good conversation.
We shall.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Darren. This was an enjoyable conversation. It only got derailed like twice, but that's okay. It happens.
That's all right. When your daughter walks in for a cup of water, you just roll with it.
And I got to do a shameless plug for my products.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.